It's a diagram that shows three unique aspects which should be considered in terms of deciding what you think would be a career or an ideal job. First, the things you like to do, the things you get paid to do, and the things you are good at. And we'll go through this and we'll try to see if we come up to perhaps use this Venn diagram to come up with a career in which we think we would like to focus on. And I will just kind of guide you to see how that can go from just data to into decision making. Um, so I have a short story here in terms of things you like to do. So first, the things you like to do, and I wonder, maybe I just throw this open to everyone first. Can someone just volunteer and say two things that you like to do? And near at precious, yes, please go on. Oh, nice. Hmm. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing. Um, thanks for sharing that. Yes, I will give some examples here, and we'll see if we have a common match. Uh, for example, in terms of remote sensing, you uh, would you describe yourself as someone who is smart but lazy? Someone who likes geography and the environment? Someone just like Anya had already mentioned, someone who enjoy photography. That's maybe an indication that you are really in the right place to be. Um, and in terms of GIS, I think I personally fall under here. I I love to see maps and I love to draw. I love to recreate things. I love to do color coding, and do some graphics design. I'm a bit less creative than some others on this call, but I still love to do things like this. And I'm giving this as an example because indeed, for us to really find an ideal career, an ideal job, it's good to search inward and really look at the things you like. I understand contexts are different, and many times, yeah, maybe someone like me, I ended up also in surveying and geoinformatics. It was not my first choice; it was a second choice. Uh, but even at that, within that, you could still find the things you like to do, and it's good for you also to make this kind of template. First, in this field, what are the things I like to do, and what are the things I enjoy, and that's one of the first steps in which you can already start to build uh, uh, a field or a niche, like the other presenter mentioned. So first, identify the things you like to do, and this is me mostly. I'm not. I'm this is me. And you can make something as well for yourself so that you also have a good understanding of how that works for yourself. Now, the things we like to do, in summary, they are the natural things that we discover. They are the things that we just love it. It's almost you find it, you discover these things, and it's like, oh, I really enjoy doing these things. And these are the things that are the things we generally like to do. And also a misconception that people think, oh, I've liked this and I'll do this for the rest of my life. It can change as well over the course of your career, and that's okay. And sometimes you like some things better at the start than than later, and that's okay. And you can still it's meant to evolve as our interests are. We start to also like some things better, and even till this moment you can still choose. And that's why this is very important for people who are coming up in the university and are still trying to define. Maybe you're already in your final year, you have a topic and things like that, but now you can still try to search and see. And if you have already defined something, that may still change over the course of the career. But it's good to have such an open mindset. And another fallacy which I also hear people say is that, oh, really, I know the things I like and I will always like them. But no, that's not true. You can never know all the things that you like because you just never tried. You go into a different world, you go into a different domain, and then you see, oh, this is quite interesting. And as the first presenter has mentioned, it's perhaps one of the weaker points in which we find us in GIS specialists who really say, okay, this, yeah, I'm not sure. I want to go into that field. I'm not sure, but give it a try and have an open mindset towards it. And you never know, it could be your favorite thing in the nearest future. Now, the next thing we also need to think about is what are the things that you are good at? What are these things? Uh, I will ask another volunteer again to tell us just two things again. Tell me what you are good at. Yes, yes, please go on.
Yes, good evening. I'm good at playing table tennis and also solving complex mathematical equations.
Wow.
Any equations, I'm good at that.
Wow.
Doing that.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. You must have collected a lot of accolades with the MTS department. Um, but yes, that's a good example. Quantitative reasoning. It's also one of the things also here I have in my slides. Maybe a good way for you to know if you are good at doing things. You are good at coding. Some people just have the IT, just the a natural interest, not natural now. Yeah, you are just good at understanding how things connect together, how tools work. Uh, you are good at recognizing patterns and differences. All these games that you see, okay, select the differences between these two images, and some people are just naturally really good at that, and they are able to also validate information. You also want to get an extra pair of eyes. You want to uh, look at another person to get something. So this can really indicate that okay, maybe this is really something you want to invest in into in terms of remote sensing and for GIS as well. Just like Adebayo earlier said, he's good at calculations, good at quantitative reasoning. That's also one of the things that you can take along with you. You're good at structuring data. You just don't like things to be messed up. You like to put things together and you want that to fit together in a nice way. Yeah, you're good in organization and management. You are actually software savant. Even if you have not used the software before, you can tell, okay, this command goes for this. And people get this better than others, but you can see that you are actually good at this and it's something you can use as a skill. If you leverage that on the things that you are you are interested in. Now, the in terms of what you are good at, we can become good at something we learn. It's a nobody came to this earth knowing everything, right? You can always learn and you can become good at it. Maybe you are not good right now. Maybe others are faster than you, but you can still become good at it. And just like I said, some get it faster than others. And another thing I also want to really emphasize again is that you really cannot be good at everything, not just in life, but also in this field. You cannot be there's a pride in being a generalist, but you are cannot be good generically because there will always be things you cannot pick up, and that's okay. You just need to identify what am I good at, and how does that align with what I'm interested in, and therefore you can find that match, and you now build to the next thing you would like to do. And therefore, the last thing is yes, it's important. Even if you are good at something, you enjoy it. Yeah, you're happy, but you're actually poor. But so you need to actually now identify the things that you can get paid to do, so that you can make this match for your ideal job. Now, in terms of remote sensing, there are needs for people who are able to program tools, who are able to analyze, for example, Earth observation data. For some example, there's a need for people you will get paid to to study changes in the environment over time. This has been the case since inception. and you get paid to also validate data. You get paid to georeference, to ground truth, and to really make sense of that the data that was indeed used was actually correct. So those are the things you get paid to do. And I would like to now stress in terms of GIS analysis, you get paid to make plans, you get paid to make maps for development, you get paid to build or design a database. These are still things that you get paid to do. You get paid to be able to integrate multiple data sets and develop insights. So you see where the needs are, and you can see how to really tailor that with what you are interested in and what you are actually good at. Now, also things I also want us to point out here is that the world has a need for your skills. I think you should never, at any point, be demoralized to think you are useless. That would be a very first thing to think, or to think that what you have learned so far, even if you really hated the course and you were forced against your will to go into this course, there is still a need for that skill. It's because it's marketed, and that's why it was approved in the first place by the education committee or something. Now, you get paid if you can deliver them. There is no assurance that if you cannot deliver anymore, that people will pay you. You are paid by deliverables. You are paid by what you are able to do. So even if you are good at something, you have a lot of interest in it, and there is a demand for it. But if you actually do not deliver, you actually will also not get paid. So it's good to, for example, people who like to juggle and do so many things, but struggle to deliver. It's good to also know that this is very important. And finally, to also move us into the next phase of discussion is that the world is evolving, and as it evolves, it's the needs of the world would also change, and therefore it's very important for us not to get static and not to get uh, uh, stuck on the things that we have been doing, even if we have been doing this for many years. Look at the history of GIS. That was presented just now. We could see how things evolved over the years as well. The Esri user conference that was there, you could see how many people were connected, and the different pathways in which people get there is also becoming different. We now move to the second part of this discussion, but I want us to have a quick look at what I started with, which is the ideal job. Like, what do you like to do? And what are you paid to do, and what are you good at? So it's good to identify these ones and really try to make that matrix and triangulate so that you can come up with something in the middle where you think it's ideal for you. If you do things you are paid to do but you really don't enjoy it, then it also becomes a chore. uh, and yeah, having the three would be the best combination. um, Yeah, I think we will have more time for questions at the end. So I'll now go to the part where I also discuss about the times are changing, and therefore the evolution of information age and AI also means that there is a rapidly changing need, and we need to move on from just making data to actually be able to contribute to making decision. And this is the core of that I really want to stress upon today. Now, for example, this was the last slide I showed you. These are the needs and the, the positions that are commonly associated with these ones. You are a remote sensing specialist, you are a researcher, you're an analyst, you're a cartographer, you're a surveyor, you're an engineer. These are the traditional roles which we currently have in the past few decades. Uh, but we see that that is starting to change now. Now, what do we mean by a traditional analysis? Traditional analysis is concerned about what happened where, and this is how we started this whole profession. People were interested. Oh, what happened? Can we show this? Uh, People knew what happened, but we just need to also know where did it happen, and therefore the first point were the point maps, and then you have the choropleth maps. You have all these things to show where the things actually occurred, and that was the main question in the past century, as we saw. But we also see nowadays that with the advent of AI and everything, that the questions are increasing. AI is also now able to answer what happened where. Just give it the information, right? With even Microsoft Excel, just put the points there, and I find it quite amusing that wow, even that is able to actually make a simple map. And there are the website now, data wrapper, and all these things that are coming up. So what happened where is not no longer the key question that we are being asked. And the question we are need to provide answers to is why? Why did it happen? What really happened where? What will happen again where? Can you predict again what will happen? We see what has happened. Why do we see that occurring again? And also, what should we do? And finally, we make what is the solution? What is the recommendation you're making? And what do you think we should do? And that's the decision part in which we are asked more frequently nowadays. But if you keep stuck on what happened where, you will not be able to answer the questions and the needs of the world today. Now, as I said, so these were the feeds that I put back there, and now you will see the more decision related careers that are coming up nowadays. So it's time as people, for even I myself as well, I moved on from being just a analyst. Now I'm a consultant. I work as an health advisor, which where I work. So it's not enough to just make the maps, but you should also be able to tell why is this happening. What do you think is going on, and what should we do? So then you need to provide advice to clients, and you need to provide to organizations and ministries that are seeking for solution. It's not enough to be researchers, to be scientists and stay in your domain and just be able to put out a lot of publication outside. But it's time to also translate this to evidence-based decision so that they can be influenced by policymakers, and even you yourself can be educators to people who really need to make decisions for the people. And it's not enough to just become a specialist and you really know uh, where this data is coming from. And you need to also become a field expert that you can tell the mechanism, the systems that were used to produce this data. You can localize information and say, okay, yeah, it's because of a person is coughing here, and that's because this person reported late, and that's why we have this lag. You need to now become an expert in which you can interpret data as if you were in the field yourself. And cartographers, surveyors, beautiful things, but the world is asking us to go further and become spatial engineers, spatial intelligence engineers, so that we can actually tell people not just this is your land, this is what's going on here, but can you tell us what do you think could happen in this land? What are the expectations? Give us all the qualities of this land and be able to tell us what we can do or what we cannot do about it. And not just to become engineers, become data engineers, developers, and programmers. It's time to also go further to start thinking about how to become solution architects, how to integrate data sources from different places and not just show them on dashboards or web maps, but also be able to tell us, okay, yeah, we can be able to say this data is from here, but it actually should be improved in the way it was structured, and be able to recommend and improving the ways to improve data management systems so that you can get even more precise information than what you already have. So we need to be able to architect and design a future in which uh, we would be able to solve the problems. So the world needs solutions and not just situation reports. And it's time for us to also start to think about this for us. Now, what does this mean for you and for me? What does this mean for the future of what we do? Think again about the ideal job diagram that I showed you. It's time to also to think again about it and start to think about, okay, if I'm indeed interested in the needs and where people get paid, then it's time to also start to think about how I can do something about it. Now, what other field would you like to apply your skills to? What are the things that you like? What are the things that you are good at? These questions you need to ask yourself again It's not enough to use to be able to make maps, but see it as a tool, see it as a skill set, and that you need to apply for problem solving. And therefore, you need to identify the field in which you would like to solve those problems. It's good to know that GIS relies on data, but the data itself, it is contextual. It comes from somewhere, and it can be used to actually address some problem in the world. So this is what this means for what we do now. Now, I do need to state that the advancement, and when I talk about needs, they differ, right? They differ across fields. They also differ across regions and countries. I mean, for people in more high-rich, high-income countries, the needs are rapidly changing faster than we have in some low-income countries, and that's okay. It's good to identify, just like the first presenter said, uh, are you really passionate about a local problem, and are you looking to address that? You are more passionate about more global uh, problems, and how you see yourself to address that. And it's good for everyone to ask that question for him or herself to see then how what your ideal job would mean. It's okay to be localized if you are really effective and you are good at what you are doing. I personally have no problem, and I actually really commend that. And that's of course everything indeed was is also not about money. It's all about also your purpose and what you think the ideal job would be for you, and that every person has to make that choice for him or herself. But as long as you have made a critical assessment before you really venture into this, then just like Fred presenter said, you can realize things late and do some reflection. But at this point, you also have an opportunity to think about it again for yourself. Now, there are multiple fields that are there. um, yes, there are some are more advanced than others. I mean, the use of geo in those fields are far more pronounced than some others. For example, in development, urban planning, transportation, mobility, this has been the case, and it's really saturated with a lot of knowledge in terms of geospatial work, assessing crime, monitoring traffic management. These things have been there, and there's of course more opportunities to improve and build on and make changes, but yeah, it's again about what people already know. And if you look at defense, security intelligence, aeronautics, flight travel map, how people use drone to assess things, this has been highly connected to geospatial analysis for such a long time already. Disaster management has also moved from the middle level to up now, because there's quite a lot of knowledge and interest. Think about flood modeling and how to also use that to measure impact. Resource management, agriculture, forestry, the time series to understand land use, land cover changes, to understand deforestation, and to see where gold mines were situated and where you can find other exploration. These are really fields where they have been pronounced. But all of these fields, there is a need for geospatial analysis. And the less prominent fields are, for example, in public health, you think about epidemiology, think about to show where diseases occur, to show the social distribution of healthcare and access. This is still less pronounced. I remember facing a really tough time trying to make a project on this while I was in FUTA, but it's getting far more attraction now, even though it should have been more. Wildlife management, species distribution. You want to understand where things are. You want to understand in terms of ecology. You want to know that some species are not going extinct. It's good to map and to show them. And GeoAI is rapidly coming up, and people are leveraging on that to really be able to show how you can use by prompting to create a lot of machine learning methods to actually understand the geodata that we're using, so that it can immediately interpret what we are seeing and make maps, and we can make sense of what we see. Climate science is also going quite rapidly as well. It's a lot of interest to understand where things occur and which countries are at most risk, and you can try to also go down to make agent-based modeling to understand which people, which socioeconomic classes how would they respond, and what are their risk levels for that. Uh, Now, other less known ones, the finance, the business and marketing. There is some exploration in terms of, yeah, where are the people, where are the markets, where do they come from? Advertising things. These things are there, but there's still far more things that could be done in this sector in terms of situation of business, in terms of how you can do things, and who to collaborate with, and all these other things. Archaeology is also becoming slightly more important these days because it's time to also reconstruct history to know what's going on. But this is still not getting enough attraction because, yeah, uh, there are still a lot of limiting factors to that. And policy, you mean making impact evaluation to be able to ask, not just propose things. Can you ask what was the impact of this intervention, and why was it successful here and not successful there? These are the questions that we still need to use to spatial data to be able to answer. Sociology, for example, how do people behave in certain situation? I was reading a paper and it was talking about the driving behavior of people also reflects the kind of environment in which they come from. And it's very interesting to think about how social science tries to relate, and we can use that to understand movement patterns. And yeah, one of the articles we are working on to also see the how people move into health facilities as a result of their classes, and the result of their yeah economic conditions. And we can actually use more of this to truly have to understand why something is happening when. Now, to close this session, it's good to have an idea of what do I need to do. Of course, we already talked about yeah, finding a field, and we've discussed about how you need to be able to identify something you're interested in, something you're good at, and where the opportunities are, just like I showed you. Now you know these things. How do you get there? Starts by exploring the resources. Just read, get interested in it, and then you can build yourself and be able to execute projects, and also ask for feedback from peers and from people who are well-known experts in the field. Showcase your work and build a network. These are ways in which you can actually build an expertise, and then you keep adapting it to the market, and then just keep going, and then keep your motivation levels high, and you will definitely be able to get there. Yeah. So this was my presentation, and I would now uh, give the floor back to the moderators who are really doing a nice job. Thank you.